You know what they say? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. So let's talk about it. Alright, so today we're talking about setting a standard for yourself. And what does that mean? Hell, did you even think about it before? You know? So, in my philosophy for the modified gentleman, my philosophy works heavily on self-awareness. It is built on self-awareness. That's the foundation. But what does that mean though? What does self-awareness mean? For me, in the way I explain it, in my philosophy, I look at self-awareness in two ways: internal and external. Now, when I talk about internal self-awareness, that's you elevating your knowledge about who you are. Like you do the deep dive, the inner work. What do you like? What do you love? What do you hate? What do you don't like? What do you do on rainy days? What do you do on sunny days? What's your favorite vacation spot? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite musical artist? What's your favorite movie? Like, all of that is you knowing who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, people will constantly tell you who you are. You'll never find out who you are. So self-awareness is huge. And I think that we need to place a huge emphasis on that, because nowadays the world is moving so fast, you know, with social media, the internet, whatever, you know, people are constantly like looking at other people and comparing themselves. Sorry, let me turn this off. People are constantly looking at themselves and comparing themselves to everyone else. And they next thing you know, you end up 40, 50, 60 years old and you have no sense of self. And that's a problem. It's a huge problem. Your decisions, your actions, your behaviors depend heavily on your mindset, and your mindset depends heavily on how you see yourself. It is so easy to look at someone else and be there for them and help them and encourage them. But it's difficult to do that for yourself, especially if you don't know who you are. And so when I talk about self-awareness and internal self-awareness, start with you, like literally you. That's your responsibility. It's not anyone else's responsibility. It'll never be anyone else's responsibility, man. And so after internal self-awareness, we look at external self-awareness. And my definition and philosophy for external self-awareness is, how do you see the outside world and how do you interpret it? Do you see it for what it is, like the reality that it is, or do you warp that reality to fit something in your mindset? And a good explanation of that I see common is with guys who go through breakups. So let's say you're a guy that just had a breakup, you know, whether it's a marriage, it's a divorce, it's a regular breakup, whatever the case may be, there's some type of breakup. And instead of you processing that properly as a breakup, as a divorce, what you do is now you have some type of hostility towards all women. And that's not reality. And that's also unhealthy. So you don't want to fit what a false perception of reality. Like, you have to be grounded in what reality is when it comes to having that external self-awareness. It's important, man. It's important. And so, but the reason why I bring up all that, why I talk about self-awareness internal and externally, why I say all that, is to get to the point of having a standard for yourself. You know? Having a standard for yourself. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Very much a cliche, but also it has a ton of hardcore truth in it. And nowadays, in this fast modern world, like especially with facts being bended so much that they break. Like, you have to understand, like, you have to find something for yourself that is truthful, but is also grounded in reality. So facts will always be what they are unless they're proven otherwise. But for yourself, you have to have a type of standard and a belief in something that gives you guidance, gives you purpose, gives you a type of grounded reality to live for, you know? So someone else doesn't come along and tell you what your reality is. It's crazy, you know? Give me a second. But we're talking about having a standard of beliefs for yourself. I'm tired of seeing so many guys out here just going through life aimlessly. You know, whether you sleeping around, you can't keep a stable job. Like, you got to have something for yourself, both professionally and both personally. Have a standard in those two aspects of your life. Those are the two major aspects of your life. So I highly suggest that you focus on those two aspects. When it comes to professional standards, have professional standards in how you conduct yourself in business. How do you conduct yourself at work? How do you conduct yourself in a professional environment, in a professional relationships, professional partnerships, professional interactions, whatever the case is? Have a specific standard to yourself for that. And it's no different in a personal relationship. Have a standard for yourself personally. How do you deal with friends, family, your spouse, just strangers, you know? Like, an example of having a personal standard for yourself is having boundaries. Having a boundary for yourself. Do you know what your boundaries are? Like, that's another part of self-awareness. What the fuck are you willing to tolerate? What the fuck are you not willing to tolerate? You know? Where does the line start? Where does the line end? Do you know that about yourself? A lot of people don't. You know? They just do things until they get to a point where they're so far out of their comfort zone, they're so far uncomfortable that they lose touch, they lose control of what they were trying to have control of. But because they didn't have a standard to start with, now they just find themselves out there. And when you find yourself out there, you're at the mercy of everything and everyone else. Having a standard will save you the stress, the confusion of a good 99% of the bullshit that's out there in the world. Because you will see something and you're like, I don't agree with that. And then you won't tolerate it. You won't step into that arena of bullshit. Seriously. So I want you guys, like, to seriously sit back, have a standard, you know, like, think about it, man. What do you want for yourself? How do you want to be treated? Because when it comes to having that standard, you got to have your morals, your morals, your values, things that are non-negotiables, you know, things that you can work with, things you can't work without. Like, learn that about yourself. Learn that shit, please. Yo, it's important. I can't stress to you how much. Because that way you won't find yourself just out there lost, aimless, you know? And it's going to be tough because, I mean, it's your responsibility to figure it out. And so you're going to have to make some mistakes. You're going to have to make some errors. You're going to have to fumble the ball. You're going to have to miss a couple shots, a lot of shots, you know? But that's how you figure it out. That's how you gain it. A really, really good thing about getting some standards for yourself is when you find out how uncomfortable it is when you have to follow somebody else's standard. When someone gives you a standard that you don't have a choice against, you know? That's one of the quickest ways for you to start getting your life together. Getting your own standard, having your morals, having your values. Now, I'm not saying of negative morals and negative values. Of course, everything I talk about is in a positive sense. Positive sense. And that's why I would highly suggest for you guys. It also make life easier. But life is not all rainbows and butterflies either. So you got to be resilient, you know? You're gonna have some standards for yourself that you may have to change later, because you're gonna have to elevate it. You're gonna have to elevate your standard. And that's the thing. You know, don't drop your standard, just elevate it. So be clear about that. Be very clear about that. You're gonna have to communicate that, because a good way to express your standards that you have about yourself, man. Like people will start respecting you more because you have a standard about yourself, because you don't fall for the traps, because you don't fall into the BS that you see out there, you know? Like, there's a lot of used car salesmen out there. But once you have a standard for yourself, you can look at them used car salesmen and be like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. You know, I know what I need, but what you're trying to sell me is not what I need. You know? So I think, one thing you guys really got to understand as you go out there and you start learning what works for you is don't stop. Like, don't stop. Don't stop improving. Don't stop developing yourself, because that's how you become better. That's how you gain the experience, you know? And one of the biggest things about self-awareness is exposure. You have to expose yourself to more experiences in the world. Expose yourself to more experiences of life. Get out there. Go live. Go have fun. Go see things. Go travel. Talk to strangers. Eat new food that you never eaten before. Like, this is the things that make you grow exponentially faster. So much more faster. Definitely. So it's a give and take relationship, you know? You give yourself out there to the world so you can receive the knowledge that they're giving you, you know? You have to put yourself out there. It's a sacrifice for you to grow, for you to learn what self-awareness is. And that is the funny part. Learning what self-awareness is you have to put yourself out there to find out where the hell you at. Where do you stand in the bigger picture? It's crazy. But again, like, it comes down to having some boundaries for yourself, and that comes with having some standards, you know? Having boundaries is a very, very healthy form of self-care. Very healthy. Very healthy, you know? And I a lot of the men that I've spoken with and crossed paths with, and I help coach them, they never even thought about that. Never even thought about that. And I have to rephrase it to a point where I can translate it. So when I tell them about boundaries, like, you know, you don't want people to cross a specific line that you've set for yourself. And that's important, because you'll learn exactly what your boundaries are when you start feeling disrespected. When you start feeling disrespected, it'll click really fast that I don't like that. That's uncomfortable. I ain't feeling that. So, and then, trust me, you would definitely start setting standards in place so that does not happen again. It's important, man. And in that way, when those lines are in place and people see that, then they'll start respecting you. Because when you start setting a standard for yourself, now you're telling people how to approach you. And that's huge. That's huge. Instead of people approaching you in a way that they want to approach you because you haven't set a boundary for yourself. When you have established that boundary and people start knowing that boundary, now they will only approach you in a way that is respectful of your boundaries and your standards. And that's huge, man. It's huge. So I think y'all gotta put some thought into it, you know? Seriously. Because if you don't, everybody else gonna tell you what you want, what you like, what your standards are. But don't give them that energy, man. Don't give them that power. Don't give them that opportunity, you know? Don't give them that. So, I'm not gonna talk your head off, fellas. I appreciate sitting down having a conversation with you guys and just laying down some little bit of nuggets here and there and just letting you guys know different concepts, man, for everyday knowledge. Think about it differently, ways that you can work out different challenges that you're going through in life. That's what I'm here for. All right, that's what the Modified Gentleman is for. We're gonna help you elevate your self-awareness and development. You know, we're gonna work on masculine wellness, and we're gonna see things from a different perspective. You know, and that's how we're gonna do it. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys take it easy. Have an awesome day. Do what you do. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.